Do you remember the blood moons? Something was supposed to happen around about this time, somewhere in 2014 and 2015, because of this great ominous blood moon tetrad. Here's why. In 1493, we had the great persecution of the Jewish people in Europe, and also the discovery of the New World by Christopher Columbus, who is now thought to be a Slavic Jew. And so this could be thought of as the gathering of the peoples, the gathering of the Jewish people by persecution and by the discovering of a new home for them in the West. 1949 and 1950, these are the first 2 years of the independent Israel. So this is the land. So you've got the gathering of the people, their entry to the land, their conquest of the city in 1967, when Jerusalem fell to Israeli forces and they regained Jerusalem. And latterly 2014 and 2015, which is all about the kingdom and the temple. And it didn't happen. You know, where is it? So, well, I've got some more details for you. So let's just go on a little roundabout journey. Right, so this is what I found when I looked into this in 2019. About 7 years ago, I looked at the NASA table of eclipses, and I found that this blood moon tetrad was not on its own, as it were. It came as part of a sequences of eclipses in very regular order. So you have the blood moon tetrad, which is a holy tetrad because all 4 of these dates are the holiday dates. That's Passover, Tabernacles, Passover, Tabernacles. Now, these black sun tetrads, if you like, these occur, again, these are also 6 months apart, and there's 5.5 months between that one and that one, because that's a lunar eclipse and that's a solar. Again, there's 5.5 months there between there and there, because that's lunar and that's solar. So what we have is, as I say, a peculiar sequence. You've got a triad there and a triad there, and you've got a dyad there and a dyad there, and they're all packed with a sextad, a black sun sextad here, a black sun tetrad here, and a black sun sextad here. And it's linked together to this sequence here. That is actually one sequence, these two, and let me show you the next one. Right, this is, there you go. So you've got eclipses 1 and 2 there are also a tetrad with eclipses 37 and 38 here. So there's a cycle going on there, and it goes all the way around 3 times, 2, 3. It begins that's actually the Feast of Tabernacles, and where it ends there is also the Feast of Tabernacles, and it ends there because this date here, the eclipse is not a perfect eclipse, it's a partial eclipse, that one, and that's why all of these are perfect eclipses. None of these are partial eclipses, they're all perfect. The alignment between the sun, the moon and the earth is perfect in all of these eclipses. Again, this one, the sequence stops here because the eclipse on this date is partial. So this is what this essentially is. And I went there looking to find out if anything as regular and extensive as this has happened in history. So I looked for as I said, I looked for this sequence again, and to see if I could see this sequence anywhere in the 5,000 years of NASA eclipse history. And it occurs only 9 times. There's exactly 9 times that you get a whole cycle of this particular sequence of eclipses, okay? And you've got about 1475 BC. You've got these 2 cycles are together. These are linked together. This is a 2-cycle one. So I say 9 times. This is really 1 time, but it occurs twice in succession. Now, these are not holy tetrads. These are not the Passover and Tabernacles. These don't relate directly to Israel, is the idea. But that this one could be Egypt. These 2 are clearly Rome. Again, this one is I would say Byzantium. The Roman Empire split into East and West at this time here in 286 AD. This tetrad, this is about London. This is when Alfred the Great conquered London and became the High King of England. And this is the one that we've just been talking about. And these three sequences all occur 3 together, and it's a completely unique in the 5,000 years that you get the 3 cycles, and you get the holy tetrad on the holidays as well in the tetrad. So that's unique on 2 counts. You get the 3 cycles together, and you get a holiday tetrad in the middle of it as well. So this is a completely unique sign. Okay, so let's just go back and have a look at it. There's 136 perfect eclipses over 3 canonical cycles. This is an absolutely huge sign that does not occur anywhere else. It's extensive and regular and unrepeated. Okay, so let's just okay, so if you take, however, a part of that sequence, so as I say, there's 38 eclipses in that sequence. Now, if you look at the 1493 tetrad here for Israel, well, it only goes as far as eclipse number 6 to eclipse number 2 of the next cycle, you see, but that does actually delineate a timeline running from 1487 to 1503. And that contains the whole narrative of the persecution and the discovery of the New World. And it's significant that that these are that this timeline is here, because you can look towards the center of the timeline, and I think the center of the timeline is about 14. This is it. In fact, this is the central number 23. That is the central point of the timeline. Is that the central point of the timeline does occur within the timeline itself, and that gives you, as I say, a bag that all the goodies fit into, because there's a vagueness about the relationship between the position of the tetrad in relation to the events that are supposedly connected with it. So okay, so you've got the whole of the Holocaust, and then the independence of Israel. That's the central point there, May the 9th, 1940, and that's very close to Israel's Declaration of Independence. And then you've got the tetrad here, which, as it were, because it's on the holiday dates, it's significant for Israel, and so the whole independence episode, the recovery of the land, occurs within this timeline here. Okay, here's the 1967 tetrad. Now it begins, you've got the canonical sequence begins here in the 7th in 1961. So that includes the conquest of Jerusalem here. This is the central point, number 19. And this includes the 1973 war as well as a reprise of that sequence. So, however, when we, as I say, this is now the, yes, okay, so this tetrad, well, it's not so near to the central point, because the central point is about here in the 2029. These two are the most centermost. So these are both equally far from the central point, which is actually Tabernacles 2029 is the central point. It's not actually in there because you've got Tabernacles 2061. So this is a 64-year timeline, exactly 64 Hebrew years, or 64 years and 13 days. And as I say, that sequence remains, has complete integrity over those 64 years. And as I say, the central point is between, as I say, is actually, say, September 2029. And so I think this is the general area to look for what is going on here. This is what gives it the significance, but this is what, this is the area here which we need to be looking for as the midpoint of the timeline. As I say, the other ones are closely connected to the midpoint of the timeline here. As you see it, you see the 6-day war occurred between these 2 points, and this is the central one here. And again, this is the central one here, and it was literally days after that you get the Declaration of Independence and the War of Independence, and this is significantly positioned. As I say, it's in the second half of the actual timeline, but it is the first 2 whole calendar years of Israel's independence. Yeah, and if you know much about the history of this period, you might be able to relate this to the history of that time and make a better job of, as I say, picking this thing up. Or picking out the significant features of these things. But yes, I do believe that that these timelines are significant, and that we're going to find more things kicking off. As I say, the big thing that this is referring to that didn't happen at that time is I believe going to happen over here near the center of the timeline. That's what I'm saying. This is my general argument. Anyway, thank you for listening. Please try to make sense of that.